Hi everyone, this is part one, if you can see the red part one. This is making the steering wheel and the steering column and the electrical controls and wrapping the steering wheel in real genuine fake leather made out of paper. I hope you enjoy this. Sorry, got a frog in my throat. I don't know how it got in there. What I'm doing here is measuring about where the steering column ends. Is you can actually see it in the drawing, so I wrote it on my plan, and that way I know how long I'm going to cut it to fit into it, the actual steering box. I'm trying to figure out where to put the hole. Not a hole, it's actually a slot. I got a lot of stuff to do inside the car before I even get to making the transmission and fixing the motor back up to where it was, and then going past that. As you can see, my brand new Dremel type tool. Actually, it's a Wren, and I've used Dremel. This thing works better. I got glue strips that I put in there, and rarely do I have to do this with aircraft because I can stop them at the end of the cockpit, which I did on this, but the motor is always sticking out on a World War I aircraft. The heads are always sticking out. Well, I don't have that problem with this, so I made a new problem. Not a problem, but just things. So I'm taking like an end mill and grinding it down to fit in there. Hopefully I got the angle right. Who's gonna know? I ain't gonna tell you. I can't wait to get out of the kitchen. I'm about ready to get out of the kitchen, back to the model room. That I like the whiteboard, but the problem is everything gets lost in it, especially on the camera. Right now I'm making the steering wheel out of I believe it's 20 or 30 thousandths card, and that's just the inner piece, and then it'll be flanked on both sides with 20. I think it's 20, so it'd be 60 without sanding. When you ever see my fingers twiddling, that means I'm thinking. In other words, you'd hear a squeaking noise in real life. I'm drilling 3 corners out in between each spoke of the wheel. Then I was shocked. I broke every 1/8" bit, and I found this in my model thing. And I was all right. The reason why I wanted 1/8, it was big enough. Everything else I have is way too big. So I'm just drilling them out so I can cut them out somewhat as good as I can, but they are a little crude, so it needs some work, smoothing over, getting the arcs right. What I mean by arcs is the inside of the wheel. Did I get it right or perfect? No, but it's good enough. It turned out well, I thought. Now, what you've seen in the opening photograph was the end-on look, like from the driver looking down. You can see the tachometer that I had to make that fit there, and the spark advance, and the I don't know what the other one's for. There's another one on the top of the wheel. It's got a thin lever. I don't know if it's for fuel or what. And the other one I think is spark advance. What I mean is to open the fuel up. And then there's one in front, and I'm not sure what that is for. And, for some reason they won't sell me a manual. Of course, they're not made, but so I did the center hole. I'm making sure that fits off screen, that it's fitting my piece of plastic I'm going to put in. Yep, it's working. Now I'm just going back through and cutting between the holes straight. I used to be really good at this, but I got a fly that won't leave me alone. By the way, he died. Funeral services was held last week. Send your money in for his family. This actually took me way longer than I thought it would. It was actually fun, though. I mean, I had a lot of fun doing it. There was a lot of waiting. Glue something together, and then wait, and then you had to wait for it to see it flies back again. Now you can see what kind of death he met. Anyway, just was a lot of waiting, a lot of fiddling. It's in a bigger scale than my 136 scale models of aircraft. Because it was so big, it was harder because there's more stuff you can see. Does that make sense? Yeah, it should. So I'm just showing you roughly. And what I did is I notched something a little too hard right there. And I'm filling it up with my sprue goo made out of Tamiya extra thin and sprue from tank model. That's what I had on hand. Now what I'm doing here is actually softening the edge. Dummy. I made the outside of the ring. Sorry, dummy. Wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. And I'm stripping. This is Plastistruck wire tubing, but it's not tubing. It's got a metal wire running through. That's going to be my steering column. And then you'll see me cut a piece of the sprue here. This is for my steering wheel to set on. It actually goes through so I can add stuff to it, like the ignition control levers, fuel levers, injection seat. I don't know. Maybe it's for the 8-track tape player. Did they have them then? Anyway, right now that thing's drying, and I'm added some stuff to get that up there, some tube glue, and I'm trying to get it flat. Now I got to make the speedometer or the shaft, the one that's just behind the steering wheel, goes down, and I don't really know what it's for. It goes down above the steering column. You can see it in pictures. It's chrome. I looked in the period pictures just to see if somebody got nuts on both sides of the pond. The one in England, one in the United States, they're both chrome. I can see one where couldn't tell about the column, but the spokes on the wheels were black. So I'm not sure. I went with chrome because it wasn't. It's the only one I seen, and so I don't know why. But anyway, right now I'm making the hold off, which you can actually see, or you won't see actually because it'll be down, to hold the top shaft, and I got to make another one for the bottom. Hold the smaller shaft over the top of the other one, and it's fairly big, but I used I took some of that Plastistruck rod that's covered in plastic and just skinned the plastic and put the bare shaft. And yes, I primed it, and I had to because it's metal, and I would anyway. I primed it in Mr. Surface Gray, since I can't seem to find white anywhere anymore. I'm not saying it ain't there, it just isn't here. And I didn't feel like ordering it and waiting for a month. I'm trying to see what I'm doing now. Oh, yeah. That is the thing that holds, that little tab there is what holds the that lever that's behind the steering wheel, and you can see it's graduated. So what's it? I have no idea. Have no idea. And when I'm doing this, I have to keep in mind what's acclimated. The tack, what I'm mostly seeing is either on the right side of the driver, and you can see it between the spokes of the wheel. I have seen one where it was more towards the top, but not exactly. So I don't know if they just... The main picture I've seen looked more of a... It wasn't what I considered a period looking restoration. The one with an all aluminum swirled burnished dash, I don't think so. I think the one in England is far more closer to what it should be. Mainly because it has a sight column or sight glass built into the fuel tank that's in front of him. And I felt that was more in the other. But the weird thing is, while you're watching me make this thing somewhat round, is the guy in England with his Blitzen Benz looking machine, Blitzen Benz, they're all called that, had electric starter, where the one in the United States has a where they have to put it on top dead center, and they got the fuel pumped up, and then he'll pull a lever out, and the other guy's doing something on the other side. I'm not sure if he's cranking the mag, I think he is, or he cranked the mag once and it's already charged up. I don't know. But when he pulls that out, it sends a shot of juice across the cylinders that's already primed. They got priming cups. I can show you where them are, but they never showed him doing it, so I think it was drove there, and it might be primed already. I don't know. All right. I think I'm making the one for the bottom to hold the shaft on the bottom. There was no way I'd have had about an hour-long video, and I cut this down to 18 minutes, the next one, and that speeded up. The other one was half hour and some minutes long, and I'm like, man, I ain't gonna go. I still had 6 more videos to put on it. So if you see a part 3, you know why. I don't think so, but now I got that stuffed in there. I'm putting a dab of super glue, or dab of glue, to pinch that together, because that also becomes that's actually that shaft turns. It's not sleeved anything. It turns and makes an adjustment to something. I don't know. And you think I could draw that correctly? And this is about the 4th one I made, and I don't even know if this one makes it. You see how yellow that is? Well, some of that plastic I'm touching right now is older than my oldest child. He's almost 40. So, yeah, it's yellowed from age. I don't know why I keep grabbing it when I got new of that 10,000s. Yeah, some of them I didn't show it, but there's one I got to that point there, and I snapped it in two and said, I ain't fixing it. I'll make another one. And now making that hole, for one thing, and that is to fit in that shaft, into the shaft that I put on the steering column. A lot of whittling, trying to make it thin and look right, but I could have made it out of brass, but I'm like, I had hard enough time in plastic. I don't need brass. There it goes on. Now I got to make the handle for it. It goes down and rests. The handle's already made. I think it's... Nope, apparently not. You think it looked like that when I got done? No. So I ended up whittling on this for a while. You don't see all of it, thank God. Came out a little fatter, and I should just use some sprue and then another bigger piece to make the handle correctly. But you can't hardly see it. And you won't see the painting of it, I don't think. All I'm trying to do is thin it out, making it thinner and thinner, and the problem with thinning stuff and making it thin enough, I've had, I use Krylon Chrome, which works real well, by the way, to chrome the whole thing, but I have ran into where the solvents in the paint before it dries will warp thin plastic. So you got to be kind of leery of such things, okay? I have no idea what I'm doing here. I think I'm making something for the steering wheel, but I'm not sure. Oh, I needed to make it smaller. That's right. The diameter smaller for the center. Because what it was is there's a plate or hex bolt there. And I'm just making it smaller to fit through the steering wheel. Then I'll cut that off and I'll rest on the other one. There, I'm kind of smoothing it out. Of course, you know, that worked real well. I went back actually because that was sticking on, you know, pencil that fat really makes some, the line isn't hitting right where it needs to be, and I can trim it easily. On the back side, you'll never know. Even if you could look at the back side, you'll never know it's happened. Man, funny I didn't lose that in orbit. That's one. There we go. Now I'm gluing it. That's the outside. Well, that's the end of that one. Stay tuned for part 2 very soon. Hopefully tonight. Thank you. Like and subscribe. At least comment.